Bryant, there he goes.
Westbrook does a great job of one-handed, left-handed pass. Works on his shot. He doesn't leave.
Jr. is checked in. Warriors stay with the same five starters. And then Steph Curry hitting the wing jumper. Yes, dropping in that three. Oh, Curry, a little split. Steph through it. Steph with the layup. So Steph Curry, beautiful beginning. Turnover. Point trip down. Free throw and three-point play. Curry right down the lane. How about that?
Welcome in, everybody. Saturday morning, and you know what time it is. It's a fantasy Firebox time. I'm your host, Tony Jigsaw Cutillo, and today, making his debut, I love this. I told y'all I was going to bring guests in, told you I was going to be part of the Win Daily family, and introducing the Wagering Wizard himself, Mr. Mark Drumheller. Mark, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Tony. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, man. No better way to start the weekend than to be talking about sports. So much going on in the sports world, and I'm really excited to join the show today.
Man, this is going, listen, just for everybody knows, you know how we roll every Saturday, Sunday. We talk about DFS, but we're going to add the betting aspect into this show, which I can't wait for. So this is an experiment, just so everybody knows, right? I mean, me and Mark are working together for a long time, but we're going to put the two together. We're going to put his mind together with my mind and try to give you the best that we can have to offer and hopefully help everybody get paid on this glorious weekend. So first things first, Win Daily Sports. Follow us, windailysports.com, at Win Daily Sports, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Hit the notification bell. And not only right now, running a deal for $15 off for till 4th of July. Jason's going crazy right now, $44.99 for your top membership fee for the gold package. Get in there. I'm telling you, listen, Mark, I don't know about you, but before I even joined the Win Daily family, I mean, one of the guys I always tip my hat to is Brian Tulloch and Mr. Tulloch, DFS Ghost. I mean, listen, unbelievable. Nikki's unreal. Seeing one of the smoothest talkers in the game. This group can just talk sports all day long, and they hit all the time. It's crazy.
Absolutely, man. I mean, listen, I love following these guys. It's a ton of information and a ton of tools, right? We're only as good as our tools. And the best part about, I think what the Win Daily family does is they walk you through the process as well. They're not just giving you information. They're kind of, walking you through how they get there, their thought process. So it makes sense. And you can take some of the information that they give you and make your own decisions.
So Dennis checking in says, you're a beast. Dennis, listen, I try. That's all I can say. I try. Beast, I don't know, man. Beast, listen, I got a coffee cup that my wife got me. Says, don't be a Richard, because I kind of am like a DICK to a lot of people. But it's okay. So Beast is probably a better name for it. Adam checking in as always. What's up, guys? Tony, Mark, great mind. Adam, avid follower, man. Every show, whether it be Heat Ratio Sports, whether it be Win Daily Sports, you're all over, Adam. I love it. We absolutely appreciate you. So first thing we're going to do is we're getting some DFS and some betting talk for the early games, the late games. There's only a 4-game slate on the late games, but I think there's a lot of tremendous value in there. So what we're going to do, we're going to mix it up. We're going to talk some DFS. Then we're going to get the kind of future market from Mark, some games he likes, some betting lines for today. So let's start this off just like we always do. And we're going to talk about early court, and then we're going to talk about some AL East talk a little bit with the Toronto Blue Jays. So right now, let me share the screen like we always do. I'm going to get into Again, there's only what do we got? 10 games. So 10 games. So let me share this first screen, and then we'll talk about our cores. So the core today, I'm putting 4 in the core again, and I'm doing that because I really like. So again, don't pay attention to the lineup like I tell everybody. I'm just throwing guys in there. Obviously, you see, like I tell you, this is my parody account. I just throw it in there. I'm not starting this lineup. There's just people. That's why it's minus 1,500. There's people all over. So let's get right off to the early core. And Mark, there's some really good games in this slate. And I took my core. I look at pitching matchups, and one of the pitching matchups I looked at was in that Toronto game. And I know we're going to talk about Toronto a little bit when we talk about AL East, but first of all, Vlad Guerrero has been on another level. I mean, we talked about him a couple weeks ago, he should be in the MVP talk. That's how good he's been right now. It took an off season, lost about 20 pounds. He was able to get that swing corrected more. And from a power standpoint, it was very inconsistent. And he's showing right now, but I'm not going to go with him as my core. And I'll tell you why. Sometimes when hot players are super hot, eventually there's going to be like a little bit of a letdown, right? Just a little bit. So when I built this core, what I did was I specifically looked at the pitching matchup, right? So we're going up against Mr. Aiken. Okay, Keegan Aiken is not scaring me whatsoever. So when I look at this and I look at what he's done, look at the hits he's given up over the past 5. Look at the runs, 13 runs in 2 games. Like, really, there's a reason why his ERA is ballooning to 7. So this says Toronto Blue Jays feast all over to me, but I'm not going to go with Vlad. We're going to put Bichette into the core, and I'm going to tell you why. Specifically because I think Vlad, one of these days on the weekend, he's either going to get a rest or he's going to break down a little bit. And what I mean by breakdown is maybe go 1 for 4 and only get a single or a double. So I like Bo Bichette today. I really do, and I'll tell you why. So he hasn't hit a home run in 5 games, but I talk about this, Mark, on this show a lot. I talk about point production, consistent point production, right? And if you look at his fantasy points and take out this 2, you're talking 17, just round this up to 10, 17, 11. He's giving you consistent points, which means he's not just a home run or nothing guy. He's got 2 multi-hit games over the past 5, which shows me he's getting a bat on the ball, and he's walked 3 times and only struck out 2 times. So that shows me he's enough, and don't forget the 3 stolen bases. So here's a guy who doesn't need to hit a home run, who can give you the best bang for your buck. And I think this today will be Bo Bichette's day to take. Now, let me talk to you this, Mark. Let's talk about the AL East in general while we're talking about the Toronto Blue Jays, because I think everybody came in this year talking about the Yankees. Everybody started talking about the Yankees, and rightfully so. Obviously, because of Mr. Garrett Cole, how good he was. Even though the Yankees sit in 3rd place right now, 40-35, and Toronto is basically 2 games behind them. Tampa Bay, 46-31. Did we say so? Talking about AL East, Mark, what surprises you as whether it be preseason, future, or going right now in the present?
Yeah, when we look at the futures divisional market, Tony, it's obviously it starts with Tampa Bay. They're at the top at plus 160, and then the Red Sox are behind them at plus 175. But when you look at the division in itself, if you have a team like the Toronto Blue Jays that are sitting there only a couple games out, and you want to look at the makeup of the team. When we look at the Yankees and we look at the makeup of their team, it just seems like they're a team that's just not going to be able to get there, right? So we're, no matter what they try to do, no matter how they mix it up, it just doesn't seem like the pieces are going to fit and they're going to be able to make it happen. But you have a team like Toronto, a young ascending team. They have the young talent. They have Bichette. They have Guerrero. And that's the type of team that can take a leap into the next step. And when you talk about your players and when you break them down, it's all about predictive value, right? You want, players that are consistent. And how do we get ahead of the curve? How do we get ahead of these teams before they make a jump, right? Everybody's on the Houston Astros now, right? Plus 800 to win the World Series now because they've won 1,000 games in a row, right? They won 12 games in a row. But the people that were kind of on the Astros saw this coming. We're able to get those tickets at a much better price. And I think there's opportunity here with Toronto to do that at plus 700 when you look at the rest of the teams in the division, that they could actually make a run at this. I think they have the young talent to really make a run at this division in the second half. I think they're probably the best value bet on the board. Don't trust the Yankees. Tampa, they do it every single year, right? We sit here and we're like, how is Tampa here? And that's kind of the thing. They're the favorites at 160. Do we think that's good value at that point? I'm not sure. I don't think it is when you compare it to a Toronto team at plus 700. So I think Toronto's team is a team that can really make some noise when we're looking at, how this season's going to kind of wind down as we finish up the summer.
I like it. And I was specifically on Toronto in the preseason. I just thought that the young core that they had, if they could just get disciplined at the plate and they could get the pitching, which they are getting the pitching pretty much right now, that I think that they could win the AL East. So I really like that. And you're right. I mean, I want to know, I'm not going to get off track here, but I can't wait to do a show just about the Houston Astros, because I was that guy who everybody was killing. I was like, it's no big deal. This is ridiculous. We're talking about this cheating scandal. Well, guess what? Jose Altuve is giving everybody the double bird right now, because that team, with cheating, no cheating, are ripping the cover off the ball. Okay. So I will say last thing I'll say about Toronto is they get a healthy George Springer. And, George Springer completely changes the tune when it comes to that lineup, right? So that's one thing. And honestly, in DFS today, and I'll throw him up real fast, he is actually a tremendous value. He's one of my value plays. You're looking at 3,700 for George Springer. And the reason why I like George Springer is he's just coming back, and he's giving you 2 double-digit games over the last 5, just getting his feet about him. And he's only 3,700. Don't look at the 160 average. He doesn't have enough games in. Okay, you don't look at that. What you look at is the way this offense is rolling against basically a below-average bullpen pitcher, especially today with this matchup. So I think, again, George Springer, jumping ahead a little bit, but George Springer is absolutely in the value. Now, Dennis is checking in, and he talks about Kansas City. And the reason why I like it, Dennis, because if you notice, okay, I had the game up, and I like the Kansas City matchup, right? Because I'm not scared of Mr. Zimmer. Not scared of Mr. Zimmer at all. Okay, so I brought this matchup up just for you. So when you get a chance, an opportunity, and you go against, all right, Kyle Zimmer, don't look at this because it's a bullpen guy, right? He's a bullpen guy. Look at the innings pitched. So you can't go by ERA, but what you have to look at is he's going to start off this game. And I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a full bullpen game, and there's going to be some really good value from the Texas Rangers side. And you're going to see that. I'm looking at Joey Gallo, 100%. I like Joey Gallo. Now, if you look at the Kansas City side, okay, going up against Kyle Gibson, I think Gibson can be hit around too as well. You're not going to get a ton of home runs. So a guy like Whit Merrifield is going to be very, very good in his play today because, again, he hits the ball a lot. And I know we're talking late slate, but what I'm saying is, if you look at, let me bring out Whit for you guys real fast. Okay, you look at Whit. And you look at what he's a 5-tool guy. You hear, I check all the boxes, right? I tell you guys that all the time. Check all the boxes. RBIs, home run, walks, stolen bases, multi-hits, runs scored. The guy does it all, right? And that's why he's giving you 3 double-digit games over the past 5. So I'm not, listen, 5,900 is not bad for me. I would pay for Whit. I like Whit today. I like the Kansas City lineup. I like the Texas lineup. So I think this is going to be an intriguing game from a fantasy perspective. And that's why if you look at my core, okay, I have Adolis Garcia into that core. Because, again, Adolis Garcia was a guy who flew above, under the radar for a lot, probably like the first month of the season. Nobody was looking at Adolis Garcia. But Adolis Garcia, what he's been able to do, if you look, and he's under 5,000 today, which I like. And you know why he's under 5,000? Because he had a 0 and he had an 8, okay? But Adolis Garcia, okay, he is power, he is consistency, okay? And he doesn't strike out a ton, okay? He doesn't. I know he's got 2 games where he strikes out too, but I'm not worried about that. He does walk. Listen, the Texas lineup, even though they strike out time, I think they're 3rd in strikeout percentage of all the Major League Baseball. But they get on base, and they have guys that you can get really good value. Today, Joey Gallo, 4,600, Adolis Garcia, 4,900. Now, real fast, we'll get to the rest of the core, and then we're going to move on to some value plays and get Mark's take on some of the other teams, especially when we talk about the early state, speaking specifically of the Chicago White Sox. So, Right now, we got Bo Bichette. We already talked about it. We talked about Dallas Garcia. Shea Ohtani. Listen, Ohtani. I don't even have to talk about pitching matchups. Ohtani is one of the guys, and I tell everybody that I go into this and I pick one guy. I look at the guys who are red hot. Ohtani's red hot. I don't care if he was facing Jason DeGrom today. I'm starting Shea Ohtani because I just think that this kid, until he cools off, I'm going to ride him. So he's in my core. Now, I put Ozzy Albies in there, and this is where Mark's will come in because we'll talk a little NL East talk here. I put Albies in there because every single one of my cores, I don't like to just put power. I like to add a guy who's going to be able to give you hits, be able to give you some RBIs. He's kind of like a check all the boxes kind of guy. So that's where Albies comes in. Ozzy Albies has been given 4 in the last 5. He's been giving you double-digit point production. So I think today, for Ozzy Albies in our core, specifically for our core, I think he makes a lot of sense because if something were to happen, now Luis Castillo, I'm not worried about from the mound. Okay, Luis Castillo, if you look at him, he is, again, 5.61 ERA. Now, from a fantasy perspective, okay, when you're starting him for strikeouts alone, because, Tony Jigsaw Cutillo has the lucky 13 number, okay, which is Ks plus innings pitched should equal 13 or more. So if you look at 7 plus 7, he gives you 14, 7 plus 6, 13. Really good arm when it comes to DFS, but he can get hit around. 6 hits last game he's given up, right? He's walking a ton, at least 3 or 4 a game. So I think this is a really good spot for Ozzy Albies. Now, Mark, when we talk about NL East, unfortunately, we live in the town of a local-centric Philadelphia, and the Phillies have just been, mediocre at best, showing no signs of going on a streak. You have the Washington Nationals that are kind of picking up steam a little bit, but I think they'll fall off. Miami doesn't scare me. I mean, I really think this comes down to the Mets, and it comes down to the Phillies. So what's your kind of take on the NL East as a whole?
Yeah, I think that the Mets are kind of showing that they might not be built to kind of make it through the entire season, leading this division. And I think it's tough. It's a division that I thought a lot of people was open going into the season. I think a lot of people thought they were in play, and I think the betting market kind of reflected that. But when you look at it now, the Mets minus 400 to win that division. And then after that, you have the Braves at plus 750, the Nationals at plus 800, and the Phillies at plus 850, right? Now, the Phillies, maybe I'm a little biased and I'm subjective because I live in Philadelphia. I've seen it. I've been Charlie Brown running after the football. Lucy pulls it away with the Phillies. Every year they're going to take that step, and then they're just kind of like middling around 500. So I'm not sold on this Phillies team that they just are deep enough to really kind of make it through the season. But when I look at the other 2 teams with Atlanta and Washington, I think that there might be some value there, plus 750 and plus 800. Washington, from the sense of, yes, they're hot now and they're getting a lot of attention, but they are going to get Strasburg back. If they have veteran pitching, if that can help them out down the stretch and kind of solidify their position in that division. What's going to happen to the Mets as the summer goes on? It gets hotter. The race gets tighter. The pressure adds up into the Big Apple. Are they going to be able to deliver? Definitely at minus 400 now, the Mets not a play. I think you want to look at those other 2 teams, the Nationals and the Braves. You look at the Braves, a lot of young studs, right? Acuna, you talked about Albie. So I just think that, in that division, again, you might not want to look at the leader. You might want to look at those kind of teams that might not have gotten off to the start that they anticipated, but still a team like Washington has the veteran leadership to kind of carry them through, especially on the mound.
Yeah, I listen. I think the Phillies fooled us all. You say plus 825, right? I mean, they really did. I was talking about this with John Jansen last night on the line change, and I was like, I was the guy went all in when I was like 81.5 is the over. Like, really? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, give me that all day long. Like, I was like 88, 89, 90 games, and now I'm like, will they even win 80? Will they even win 81, right?
Right. Yeah, when you look at the stats, Tim, the interesting thing with the Phillies is that when you look at it on the surface, you're like, hey, the bullpen killed them, right? Like, I think the bullpen was historically bad, lost like, some ridiculous amount of games, 20 games or whatnot. And you think, hey, even if the bullpen's not good and it's just not historically bad, they're going to win, 10 more games or something in that nature. So you look at how they finished last year, and then you know, you've had McCutcheon coming back off an injury. There are a lot of positive signs as far as like, hey, this is a team that could be sneaky, that could really make a jump if they can get the bullpen figured out. If they get the bullpen figured out and it's good and the pitching's okay, they can really contend. But they only needed to make incremental improvements in the bullpen to kind of save some of the games they lost last year. But we just haven't seen it happen. We've seen it kind of, you know, another team just very inconsistent in a lot of different facets.
No, you're right. Very mean. And I think one of the last thing I'll say is one of the most surprising things is I thought we were getting a lot more with Joe Girardi, and I know everybody's been talking about it, but hey, listen, man, not every manager is great in every spot, and unfortunately, maybe he's just out of his element right now in Philadelphia. So, I mean, we'll see. Who knows, right? You know,
it looks like the same. Right? It looks like the same thing that we saw with Kapler, except they're not playing Fortnite, smashing TVs. You know, that's really the only difference, right? Like, you know, what we see in the field's kind of the same.
We got to give it the game, right? I mean, dude's got the best record in baseball. Like, what is going on, man? Like,
we're looking bad. We're looking bad there. We're looking very bad.
Yeah, we are. We are. I mean, it's as simple as that. So,
not only do they have the best record in baseball, Tune, it's in this. I mean, that division is you got the Padres and the Dodgers, man. And,
right.
You know, they might not get out of it alive, but it's still a tremendous job by Kapler this year.
That's a great point. I mean, because you're looking at not only, like you said, I mean, they're in one of the toughest, if not the toughest divisions in all baseball.
Yeah, it's not the NL East.
I mean, they're actually 9-1 in their last 10. I mean, like. And Mark, who would have thought? Listen, we got to talk about it because it's a great topic. I mean, I think they really did a great job out there in the sense that they brought in a lot of guys on 1-year contracts. And when we're talking about the pitching department, and they're all doing well. I mean, we all know it's about pitching. I mean, who would have known Kevin Gausman would have been unbelievable? You know, would have been as consistent as he is, and we always knew he had it. But you know, to go 6, 7, 8. Well, I mean, the guy has been electric, right? You know, you're squeezing every little bit out of guys like Johnny Cueto, right? I mean, it's like Kapler's hitting all the right buttons, man. It's crazy.
It is. It really is. Now it's a long season, right? And I came into this season when I looked at this year. One of the main things I thought of is, hey, listen, we're coming off a weird year, right, with the pandemic, and I think depth is going to be huge because I think we're going to see a lot of injuries, especially as we come down the stretch. So we'll see how the Giants hold up, but so far so good. I mean, listen, I have nothing but respect for what they're doing out there. Yeah,
I like it. And speaking of, nothing but respect, and I know my man Dennis is checking in, and he's like, who wants to rack up the strikeouts today? So, Dennis, I'm going to give you an early line on my man JT Brubaker. And so everybody knows when you play DFS, if you're going to go, if you're not starting Jacob deGrom today, you're absolutely crazy. But he's 11-5, a lot of money. You're spending a lot of bread on Jacob deGrom, which means you're going to have to find a secondary option that's going to give you enough power plays for the rest of your lineup, right? So for me, it's JT Brubaker. Now, he's a young kid for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he's been up and down, very inconsistent. You see the rec 4 and 6, right? So he's back and forth. But the one thing he does is he's a flamethrower. He's got 3 different pitches, and he's going up against the St. Louis Cardinals today. And those guys strike out a ton. And I'm not going to just beat my own horn here, but in the beginning of the year, I said, be careful with Nolan Arenado. I don't think Nolan's going to have a good year this year. And I mean to Nolan Arenado standards. And right now, he's been very average, just saying. Okay, so you got Arenado striking out a ton. You got Molina, who's a good hitter, but he has his tendencies, right? You have Goldschmidt, who likes to strike out a ton. And JT Brubaker, last game, 9 strikeouts, okay? And I know it was against Cleveland. I get it. But if you look down one game, and you look what he did against the Dodgers, he struck out 6 Dodgers in 4.2 innings. This kid can strike out a ton if he's on. He really can. So I look at today at 7,700, a JT Brubaker game where he's going to get you 8 to 10 strikeouts against the St. Louis Cardinals. And he's going to be a really good guy in line for that number 2 spot in your DFS lineup. And Also, I think it'll be a decent K prop guy today when you look at his numbers. Now, I didn't look at those numbers, to be honest with you. I'm going to guess they're probably over and under, probably 5.5 maybe or 6. I'm doing the DFS research for this, so I'll look at that later. But look at those prop numbers, because I think this could be something that you can really hit your head on. Now, again, that's because when you start a guy, like I told you, Jacob deGrom at 11-4, you got to get a guy, right? You just have to get a guy. So when you look at the rest of the arms available, and you're looking at a guy that you can get under like 8,000, I mean, maybe you go with Kenta Miata against Cleveland. I'm not sure, but I listen, seeing what I seen from Brubaker last game and knowing his repertoire, I really like Brubaker today as one of those guys. So let's get into some sleepers. So Dennis says, do you think they're cheating? I think they always have and will with the stickies. I'll tell you what, Dennis, one thing I will say, one of the most hilarious things I ever seen was when Joe Girardi checked Max Scherzer. He's ready to take his pants off. I mean, Mark, here's the funny thing, and we'll get on this for a second, and because I think it's pretty funny, but we got a game in Major League Baseball that they're trying to bring fans back into. They're trying to speed up the game. And what the hell does Rob Manfred do but completely slow down the game to a halt, allowing this dumb shit to happen every game? It's ridiculous. I mean, Mark, have you ever seen anything like this?
I haven't. It's a complete circus, to be honest with you. And I feel like they've brought this upon themselves, because it's kind of like they've never really defined. It just seems like the players are confused. They're like, this is something I've been doing my whole career. I don't understand why this is changing. Tyler Glasgow comes out, says it's caused injury. And there's just a lot of uncertainty. You're getting pushback from the players. But Major League Baseball for years, I think, has this is the culmination of, hey, we're winding up the ball, we're winding down the ball, we're changing the ball every year. Like, could you imagine if, like, the NHL was like, this year we're coming out with a light puck and everything's like 10-7 in the NHL, right? It sounds ridiculous. Or the NBA was like, we're going to go with a smaller ball this year, and everybody's shooting 70% from three. It's just ridiculous that they keep messing around with the baseball in Major League Baseball in general. And I think that that's kind of got them to this point. So I don't know how they, figure this out, but they have to speed up the game. Like this slowing the game down constantly, even if it's for the greater good down the line, they're just going to lose too many people in the process.
I listen. I completely agree. And Dennis, do you think do we think he's cheating? I mean, I think every player is trying to get some kind of edge, right? Everybody's trying to get an edge, right? And this whole story reminds me of Mr. Harris from the old movie Major League. Talk about, I'll rub a little Crisco on my chest, got a little stuff on my elbow, right? I mean, like, it's hilarious. But I mean, I have and it's a topic for another day, because I would love to do a betting on baseball show, because I'm one of those guys that I don't believe in it, because I think what I will just say is you can't take stages of betting and say one stage is okay and one stage isn't. If you're going to do that, you have to take every single stages, not betting, cheating, every stages of cheating out of the game. And you can't say this is just we're not talking about, venial sins or, mortal sins. We're talking about one thing, and that's cheating. So it could be anything, right? And from a young kid, in T-ball, you're taught how to read signs, how to steal signs, how to look for tendencies on a pitcher, right? You're trying to get an edge. Now, I get it. People say, well, they can't take it to that part, right? But what I can say, though, is you can't disparage each specific situation. You got to throw them all into one lump and say, okay, none of it's good for the game, but I don't think you can do that. So, right, Dennis, it's part of competition, right? So that's my stance on that. So let's get into some early value here. And we talked about this already. We talked about Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo today, 4,600. I call them Joey Gallo days. Okay, there's always Joey Gallo days because let's face it, Joey Gallo is like Adam Dunn, right? Adam Dunn used to hit 40 home runs and bat 198, strike out 240 times, right? It's like ridiculous. So Joey Gallo is either boom or bust. But for me, if you build your lineup right at 4,600, and we talked about the pitching matchup, I think this could be a Joey Gallo day. Now, the other guy is Lourdes Gurriel Jr. from the Toronto Blue Jays, who when you look at this, right, and I'll tell you guys, this is what I look at. I talk to you all the time, is I look at that bomb-ass matchup, right? That's what I look at. And that matchup we already talked about was Toronto against Mr. Aiken, Mr. Keegan Aiken from Baltimore. So what I do is I look at who can give me some really good value. I already talked about George Springer, but look at what Gurriel has been able to do, okay, over the past few. This kid has got 3 big-time games over the last 5, and he's only 3,600 today. He's only 3,600 at home in Toronto against a stiff pitcher. Okay, so while Vlad's going to cost you 6,200, Bichette's going to cost you $6,000, you can get guys like George Springer for 3,700. And guys like Gurriel at 3,600. So I think that is 100% a play today. Then we go with Jorge Polanco and we go with Alex Kirilloff. Now, the reason why, again, is we're looking at matchups. So I'm looking at value-based matchups, value-based players based on matchups, I should say, right? So when we look at this game real fast, we break down this game, you got Kenta Miata going up against Sam Hentges, right, from Cleveland. So what I'm looking at from a Minnesota standpoint is this is a guy that can be hit, right? So when you bring up Sam's numbers and you look at a boasted 6.40 ERA, right? Again, it's like he's starter, he's reliever. He's starter, he's reliever. So again, these are the kind of games you got to jump on. And you got to look at who makes the most sense. And the reason why, again, because we have Jacob deGrom at 11.4, what I'm trying to do is grab guys that are under market value. And honestly, I really think, look, when you look at Kirilloff's numbers, he's a power guy. Alex Kirilloff's a power guy. He can throw some power. But look, 16, 12, 17, 3 out of 5 again. You know the deal. Okay, 3,500. Pounce on this guy right here. Jorge Polanco does it all. He checks all the boxes for you. He's going to be a good shortstop today at 4,300. And again, he's positive point production every single day. So that's why we're going with Polanco and Kirilloff in our value slate. So again, it all depends on who you want to start. It's completely up to you. But Mark, before we get to the FFVP, I know we talk about matchups, and I know you're a huge matchup guy. You're a huge futures guy, and you're looking at these standings. And one of the teams that I brought about in the beginning of the year was the Chicago White Sox. And I know everybody's going to kill because, Tony La Russa. Listen, I don't care about Tony La Russa. What I look at is a team that's got some of the best young arms in the game. It's got a lineup that has guys that check all the boxes and guys that have tremendous power. And there's a reason why they're in first place right now. I mean, today they played a lowly Seattle Mariners, which should be a win. Obviously, there's some weather issues out there, so keep an eye on it. You got to be careful, especially. And when you're looking at those players, got to be careful because of, resting on the weekends. But Mark, 44-31, and I know they're not in the best division, right? Detroit sucks. Kansas City isn't that good. Cleveland, inconsistent. Minnesota stinks. So Chicago White Sox, Mark, number one, were you in on them in the beginning of the year? And number two, are you surprised at where they are right now?
Yeah and no. I was in on them in the beginning of the year. I might not have been as high as everybody else. I kind of wanted to see to make sure that the arms would come through, that they'd have enough balance. And really one of the things that we can talk about today with this matchup with Seattle, which I love the White Sox in this matchup, is Lance Lynn and his resurgence this year and kind of what he's done differently to kind of elevate his game even further. When you look at the White Sox today, right, got the loss last night against the Mariners, didn't go their way. They've been skidding of late. They had the rough series against Houston. So that's exactly why you're seeing them on the money line at about -200, which you would think at Chicago-Seattle matchup's a little cheap, right? -200, even though it is expensive. But I like them here at -200. I think you just got to take what the market gives you here. Seattle's been hot, 8 of the last 10. You have the White Sox have been skidding a little bit, but they call on their captain, Lance Lynn. And I just think when you look at Seattle, Tony, this, atrocious against right-handed pitching, batting .215 on the season. They can't hit right-handers. So here comes big Lance Lynn. And what he's done this year, I mean, in general, the past couple years, right? Top 5 in WAR. Only guys ahead of him were, deGrom, Bieber, Cole, Scherzer, right? Pretty good company, top 6 in ERA. But he has upped his usage with his cutter, and that's been huge for him. It's up about 10%. We're seeing him get more swinging strikes on his cutter and four-seamer as a result of him using that cutter more. And he's just really elevated his game into, even further. Really like Lance Lynn this year and what he's doing. We're seeing him get a lot more swinging strikes. He's attacking, teams differently with this cutter, and I think it's been a huge difference this year in this matchup against a team poor against right-handed pitching, can't hit right-handed pitching. They need this win to kind of stop the bleeding, right? They've been skidding, still minus 670 to win the division. I don't think there's any threat there. Like I said, not a lot of competition in the division. But I think when the team needs a victory, they kind of look at their ace. They look at their captain. Lance Lynn is like the dad coming into the room like, you guys messed it up. Now I got to come in and fix this. And he's going to come in and fix it today against the Seattle Mariners. There's no way I see the Mariners coming in winning back-to-back here against Chicago. So I just think you take them. A lot of people like to take the run line because they don't want to pay the minus 200. What we don't want to do when betting baseball, because it's very tempting, right? Because nobody wants to, you bet minus 200, we'll go in $10 increments to make it easy, right? So you bet $10, you only win $5, right? You bet $100, you only win $50. You bet $1,000, you win $500, right? So a lot of people don't like that. They want to get more of their investment back, so they try and bet the run line. They lay, the 1.5 runs, but you don't want to turn a winning ticket into a losing ticket. And that's I think what you could be doing here with the run line. When you look at the White Sox, they're only 39 and 36 against the run line. They've been great as favorites. They're going up against a team with their best right-handed pitcher. They can't hit right-handed pitching. So I like them today. I think you can cash in on the White Sox today. Just take what the market gives you, take the minus 200 and go to the bank with it.
We got to brand that quote, Mark. You don't want to take a winning ticket and make it a losing ticket. Like I love that, man.
You'll see it, and you'll see it in a lot of these, and I kind of ran into that with the Sixers, right? And we don't want to talk about the Sixers too much, but we kind of know, you can find spots to where you just know teams are going to win, and whether it's the run line in baseball or the spread in basketball, where you're just not sure about the points. Sometimes it's easier to just take them on the money line. I think that this is a perfect spot for Chicago to get back on track today.
Yeah, listen, I agree. And I love Lance Lynn. And this is another guy. What's funny? There's always these, and actually we're seeing this kind of, and he's a little younger, but we're seeing the Zach Wheeler effect in Philadelphia where, these pitchers hit their prime spots later in their career, 28, 29, 30. And Lance Lynn was a very mediocre pitcher in St. Louis. He had the stuff, right? He was okay, but it was like, and then he went to Texas and, and he learned some more, you mentioned about a cutter. He learned how to control the ball a little more, use his strengths. And now he's just skyrocketed with Chicago, which is great to see. I mean, I pulled these numbers off specifically for a reason. I mean, just from a baseball aspect, not even a fantasy aspect. I mean, you're talking 2.1 FIR. Any ERA at 2 is elite in nowadays baseball, right? 7-3, obviously the record is because he's on a very good team, but his strikeouts, I mean, you look at his strikeouts, he's 6 to 7 per game. And Lance Lynn was never a hardcore strikeout pitcher. He was like maybe 4 or 5. So you can bust that +2 per game. It just shows, number one, he's going a little later in the games, and number two, he just has a different, a different demeanor about him. So you're right. Last matchup against Houston, very bad. He hasn't given up. I don't think he's given up 6 home runs all year long. Okay, so he just ran into a good team at a good spot. He's lost 2 in a row, unlike Lance Lynn, faced 2 good teams at Tampa Bay and Houston. Both teams are hot. It could have been just, hey, listen, he faced a hot team at the wrong time. But now, today, against Seattle, and Dennis, I know you're saying you'll never bet against Seattle because you're a fan, and that's fine. Obviously, I was a fan back in the day with Ken Griffey Jr., but right now, I just don't see it. Mark laid out the numbers and the average, the 215 average. I'll also tell you that they're one of my teams because they're in the bottom third of swing and miss percentage. They're in the bottom third of strikeouts per Ks per 9. So they're not a great team to bet for. They're a great team to bet against, unfortunately. So sorry, Dennis. I hate to break it for you, brother, but My man Joe checking in says Lynn was wildly early in his career. Oh, exactly. He was wild early. And again, he says he learned a lot from a different approach of pitching. Dennis says Len probably gets 10Ks today, but they still lose to Seattle. Yo, that's a fan right there. I love that. That's a fan. You know what I mean? Our man C, one of the smoothest talkers in the game. Okay, I can't wait to see Sia and Mark do some stuff together. PGA minds, unbelievable. Sia says you don't have to pay juice when it hits. And money line sucks. I love it. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And that kind of goes
right?
back to, like, we don't want to turn the winning tickets into losing tickets. I do a lot of UFC stuff as well. And that's something that's very common. Like, people don't want to pay the money line because the favorite's like minus 300. And they're like, okay, so they'll try and pick a prop like, hey, this fighter is going to win by submission or this fighter is going to win by knockout. And then the fighter ends up winning, but you lose your ticket because they don't win in the prop that you picked. So it's just, you just got, sometimes you take what the market gives you.
That's it. Yeah, you got to take it. Take what it gives you, right? And let's finish this early game slate out, and then we're gonna get Mark out of here because I know he's got some stuff to do on a Saturday, and I appreciate him being with me. So we're gonna get to the FFVP, okay? And I love, listen, for everybody listening, new listeners, I love this. We started this in May. And the FFVP stands for Fantasy Firebox Value Play. And what it is it's a guy that we pick under $3,000, okay, that's going to give you the best bang for your buck. Now, the baseline is only 7 to 10 points for DFS, okay? And you say, that's not a lot. But when you grab a guy for $2,000, $2,200, it gives you 10 points. That as long as your core is correct, that's a difference from you finishing 7th or first. I'm telling you, Ryan O'Hearn we had the other night, $2,000. What's he give you? 16. The other night we had Tony Kemp, 21 at 2,300, right? Huge. So today we're going with the prospect from the Twins and Trevor Larnach. And we're going again against a really good pitching matchup. So I love the Larnach play today. I really do. For such a low number. Now, when you look at what, he goes in spurts. He's a young guy, right? He's a young guy. I'm going to bring him up for you right now. So he's a young guy that goes in spurts, but he's been consistent. And this is what I look at. Now, this is crazy because this is going to be like everybody laughed. I'm going to call this today hopscotch theory, okay? And this is the reason why. 2-11. 2-14. So Mark, what's that tell you? Double-digit game today, right? So I'm going strictly from a hopscotch percentage. Okay, but no, all seriousness, $2,700 for Trevor Larnach today, going up against a really good matchup against Cleveland, a pitcher that can be hit around. And I think today could be a double-digit play. So Mark, if you get double digits for $2,700, you're going to get that gold crown. And then our founder, Jason, is going to throw that winning ticket out there for Win Daily Sports Show. We got another winner again today. So we got Minnesota. So that finishes up our early game slate. We went through it all. And first of all, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to, we got my man Joe talking about Tony Kemp. Tony Kemp, what's he got? Hey, let me just tell you something. We're going to Mark out of here. Joe is the best. So I'll throw these plays out there, and listen, I'll be doing a family thing. I'll be at a game. I'll be whatever. And my phone before I even see it, my phone goes off, and Joe's hit me up with a DM with a bomb. Tony Kemp bomb. I'm like, yo, we did it again, right? So I absolutely love it. So again, Mark Drumheller, my man, and you got to get to know the name. X_Drumheller, joining the Win Daily family. Debut today. You're going to see a lot of us together more. You're going to see Mark with different personalities doing his own thing as well. But Mark, tell everybody where you're at, where you're going, what you're doing, and before you get out of here.
Yeah, I remember you follow me on social media. Twitter, like you said, X_Drumheller. It's on there. I do a betting live stream. Wednesday nights we do golf betting. It's typically about a half hour, runs off around 9 p.m. And then on Saturdays, we do a live stream. Pretty much right now we're talking about the playoffs, NBA and NHL, betting for breakfast. You want to check that out. We're actually doing it on Sunday this week because I'm doing some travel. So tomorrow we'll be talking about all the playoffs, everything going on. You can hear me Fridays on Fox Sports The Gambler, as well as during the week on the Line Change with John Jansen as well. And then Mondays on 1700 The Champ out in Des Moines, Iowa. So keeping busy, doing a lot of things, but excited to even contribute more. And I appreciate you having me.
Man, absolutely. Mark, you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the time away. We're looking forward to betting for breakfast tomorrow. Talk about PGA, and we're going to do this more, man. So you have a great day, and we'll talk to you really soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Tim.
There's the man, Mark Drumheller. Listen, I keep telling you guys, we are going to bring people into this show, man, into this show. So we're going to bring guys, whether it be from the Win Daily team, whether it be not from the Win Daily team, right? So again, next week, I got another guest lined up I think you guys are going to like, and then I'm going to bring some other Win Daily guys in as well. But I like Mark because he gives us the betting perspective. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not the guy with these huge betting numbers. I like to do props, right? Most fantasy guys like to do props. So I do a lot of prop talk, which I like. But Mark is a strict money line guy. He breaks it all down. And what's nice is, DFS and betting come together, right? And that's what's great because, like Joe says, love hearing different perspectives. You hear the fantasy perspective, and then you hear the betting perspective, which is nice because sometimes they're completely different, right? Sometimes they're completely different. Brian checking in. What's up, Brian? How you doing, buddy? Another weekend for an MLB core. Absolutely. So what we did, for anybody still joining, we just did the whole first game, the whole first slate, which is 10 games, which is a lot. Gave you some of my picks. Now we're going to, late slate is only 4 games, right? But I still wanted to do it. We got about 10 minutes left, and let's go over. We'll bang it out, and we'll get we'll see if we can get some core winners here. So again, early games. Let's review early game core. Adolis Garcia, Bo Bichette, Shea Ohtani, Ozzie Albies. Now, again, this is early, right? It's 10 o'clock in the morning. So we don't know if these guys are absolutely certain to play. Anything can change. Not all lineups are being handed in right now, but that's what I'm going with a 4-guy core today with Garcia, Bichette, Ohtani, and Albies. I really like that core. I think that could really do you some justice. I think early value, I think this is Joey Gallo day. I talk about it all the time. For me, it's a Gallo day. I'm going Gurriel, who's got a great matchup in Toronto. Okay. He's got a great matchup for the Blue Jays, and he's only 3,700. And him and George Springer, respectively, 37 and 3,900. Those two guys, I think they can give you a really, really good value. Actually, no, 3,600. I'm sorry, 3,600 and 3,700. So great value. Jorge Polanco of 4,300, a guy who checks all the boxes, playing for the Cleveland Indians today with a really good pitching matchup again. And Alex Kirilloff, okay, for the Minnesota Twins. I just said Polanco I get Polanco and Ramirez. I don't have no idea why. Too many names to remember right now. I'm just kidding. Jorge Polanco with Minnesota. I like the tag team connection here with Polanco, and I like Kirilloff. I think, again, Kirilloff is a guy who's a power guy, but he's been really hitting the ball a lot lately. To all different fields. And for 3,500, I think he's a great play today. Another guy I didn't put in there that I'll talk about, Austin Riley. His numbers dipped down going up against Luis Castillo for Cincinnati, who gives up some home runs. He gives up some bombs, playing in Great American Ballpark, and the ball tends to get out there in a hurry. So for 3,500 at the hot corner, when you're starting a guy like Jacob deGrom, you got to find these guys, right? So I think Austin Riley for 3,500 could be a sleeper. Now I'm going to throw that in there because I want to make sure that we get that. So we're going to put early game sleeper. Just so we have it, so everybody remembers. Riley, 3,500. I think that's a really good sleeper to have right there. Early game. Also, listen, again, hot corner guy, power guy. I think you do it all. And then we're gonna go with, I already talked about our early game aces and Jacob deGrom, JT Brubaker. Again, Jacob deGrom, 11-4. I don't know how you don't start deGrom, but you have to get a guy a little bit lower, right? A little bit lower in a tier. And I think JT Brubaker is that guy against St. Louis who give you a lot of strikeouts today, 100%. Look, Dennis is already, I love it. Look at Dennis. Dennis, keep that mindset, brother. Keep that mindset. Wait till you see what's coming next. I love it. But I still see, that's the thing, man. Still no change. That's what happens, man. When you look at, and Brian breaks a good point. when you look at guys' numbers who don't change, they're just inviting you, right, to go in and grab them. I mean, I don't get it, right? I don't get it. So you have to look for these plays. You absolutely have to look for these plays 100%. So now let's look at oh, wait, I didn't give you the FFVP. Okay, remember, Trevor Lawrence today, FFVP for me. I love this play. Check them out. Let's see if we can hit it again and see what happens, man. Let's see if we can hit it again. So let's go to the late game core, and it's only 4 games. Now, Dennis, keep an eye on this, Dennis. I think we got it. Look at this. Look at my man Adam checking. It says Harper going yard against DeGrom. I love it, Adam. I love it. I would love to see that. Listen, I'm a Bryce Harper guy, and I know my Win Daily brethren are a lot of New York Mets fans, right? So I would love to see Bryce Harper go yard against Jacob DeGrom. Even if Jacob only gives up 1 run, I'm good because he's on my fantasy team. But at the end of the day, if it's a home run to Harper, I'm all in. So we got about 5 minutes left here on the fantasy Firebox. Again, two lot point. Exactly. Brian, that's why I got to be careful, man. You know, when I first joined Win Daily, everybody's like, yo, a lot of Philly stuff in the background there, man. I don't know. I don't know if we can promote this. I'm like, yo, Philly versus New York, man. It is going to be fun. I hope that one day that the Mets and the Phillies are battling out so we can do some roundtable discussions. I think that would be for some really, really good radio and TV. I think and streaming, obviously. I think that would be great. Yeah, Tulak would not be happy with me for sure. So let's get into this late game core. And I'm going to go, and Dennis, you're going to like this, right? My late game core, and it's only 4 games, right? There's only 4 games. So obviously, you're going to look at a Dodger stack, right? You're going to look at the Padres. But I think the Red Sox and the Oakland Athletics offer you some very intriguing options. And I'm going to tell you why. So let me share this up to you share the screen up for you guys. Show you what I'm looking at, as always. So let me get back. So I'll share one. Hold on. I got too much going on here, fellas. Too much going on here. I'm not a great producer right now. I'm failing. I'm absolutely failing. But all right. So only 4 games, right? So you got the Yankees, you got the Red Sox, you got the Cubs and Dodgers, Athletics and Giants, and obviously Arizona and San Diego. Now we all know why you're going to stack the San Diego Padres, right? Because you're going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I just call them the Arizona Cardinals. Wow, is that an old school football reference or what? The Arizona Diamondbacks. Crazy, man, crazy. But let's get into the early Wood. I don't know, Dennis. I can't go Wood. I can't go Alex Wood. I can't do it. Brian says, don't worry, I got you back when it matters. Yes, Brian, fly, Eagles fly, baby. Jalen Hurts. Listen, Jalen Hurts, top 7 fantasy quarterback today. I'm telling you right now, calling it, watch. They're going to be better than you think. So, and we're going to get into football talk tomorrow on Fantasy Firebox. Tomorrow's going to be 90% football talk. I can't wait for tomorrow morning's episode. PGA matchup bet. Look at C coming in. I love it. Look at C coming in. I love adding this spin. This is why I love Win Daily. Adding this spin on the Fantasy Firebox, giving you the PGA matchup bets today. Throwing it in there. I got it. I love it. I love it. And so I'm going to keep that up there so everybody sees that while we're talking this, we're talking aces for the first, for the late game slate. So 4 games, I went a little different. And I'm not a Urias guy. I'm not sold on Urias. And Frankie Montez has really hurt me lately. And I know Dennis likes Alex Wood, but I am not starting Alex Wood up against Oakland. Not doing it. Oakland has been knocking the cover off the ball, and there's a lot of good plays for Oakland today. Okay, Matt Kemp, $3,000. Think is a great play. Okay, and then you're going to also see some of my late plays later on, my value plays, which you're going to like. But let's go pitching specifically. I'm going to go Nathan Eovaldi today. And people go crazy. Well, why Nathan Eovaldi? Listen, the Yankees swing and miss in the last 10 games is number 2. Their swing and miss percentage and strikeout percentage is number 2 in the last 10 games. And Nathan Eovaldi can strike some people out. Now, I know in the last 3, he 4.45 is not really crazy, but look at the Yankees. His last win against the Yankees, 5-2, 6 innings. 7 strikeouts. 7 plus 6, Jigsaw is lucky number 13, right? Gives you a nice 24.7 outcome. Now, I like Evaldi today. I think he's a sneaky play for 7,800. Again, he can get a lot of swing and misses, and he has his games. And again, 2 out of the last 3 haven't been great. But again, he faced Houston, who are a very, very hot team. Now, I'm a little surprised against the Royals, but he only gave up 3 earned runs. So I'm not killing him for that, right? Not killing him for that. But today, at home in Fenway, Nathan Evaldi against a team that likes to swing and miss a ton. I'm going for 7,800. He's going to be one of my pitchers. Now, the other one, I'm going to go with Danielson Lamet. Now, Danielson Lamet, if you remember last year, everybody was loving some Danielson Lamet. And then he got hurt. He had a rough start to this year coming back from injury. But I'm going from 1 game sample size. That's it. I'm going on a 1 game sample size because he's still working his way back. Okay. If you look at his pitch count, slowly but surely it's coming up 64, 72, 78, 75, 81. So that's what I'm looking at. His last game, a 3-2 win. Okay. He goes 5 innings, which is basically he's only hit 5 innings twice out of the last 3. No earned runs. Only gave up 4 hits, struck out 7, only walked 1. Danielson Lamet is coming back. And what better way to put your best game on paper, on the map, against the lowly Arizona Diamondbacks at home in San Diego? And he's only 7,300. So I think, respectively, you can get a lot of bang for your buck with these 2 aces in Lamet and Evaldi. And you're only going to pay $15,000. Honestly, I think that's tremendous. Brian says, I won't mention Hurts, but yeah, 6 strikeout. Here's the thing. Alex Wood, again, Wood will have 8 Ks to it. Orange October paved with Evaldi. I don't, listen, guys, I'm not sold on Alex Wood. This is what happens to me. I look at who he's going up against. And I know you guys, listen, this is why I love it, right? I love the collaboration. I absolutely do. But even though he had, look at his strikeout totals. 4-7, 2-2-8. I'm not sold. I'm not sold. You guys, maybe if he was going up against an inferior team, look what he did against Arizona, right? That's why I'm taking Nathan Evaldi. So, not Nathan Evaldi, but Danielson Lamet. Struck out 7, right? Now, he did have a good game against the Dodgers when he struck out 8. But he's just not consistent enough for me. So, listen, if you guys start Alex Wood, I hope you guys are right. And I will tell you that I was in on Alex Wood before. I was out on him before, one game earlier this year, and he proved me wrong. Listen, if that proving me wrong earns you guys money, I hope it works. Seriously, I'm rooting for everybody. So, but my late aces, I'm going to Evaldi and Lamet. So it's saving me some money. It's going to allow me to pack a bigger punch when it comes to lineup. But again, we'll look at Wood. Let's see how we do. Make sure we hit each other up on Twitter at Cutillo23. I got to get in Discord a lot. I know everybody's killing me with the Discord, but at Cutillo23 is mainly where you'll find me. I'm very active. We can go back and forth. So let's see how it works. I can't wait. Evaldi, Lamet, and I'll give you guys Alex Wood. Let's see who comes out on top. I can't wait. Going to be fun. So let's go early, late game core. I love this core. I absolutely love it. Matt Olson, Manny Machado, Bogarts, and Yastrzemski. I love it. I'm excited. I am. I'm absolutely excited. Okay. Would Evaldi would turn. Look at this. Look at Brian's completely on the other side of what I'm doing. And this is what I love. This is what I love because he's going a completely different way. And I absolutely love it. So while he's starting Tatis and Cronenworth, I'm going Manny Machado, right? And I know Tatis has been on a tear, but I'm going Machado. And I love this. And he's going to Dodger stack, okay, with Justin Turner and Max Muncy, which I absolutely like. I went in a different direction, Brian. I like your direction. I think there's probably about 3 or 4 different stacks that we could do today, right? I do. For me, I like the Oakland stack. I like the secret stash of Oakland. I love Matt Olson today. I love Manny Machado. Manny Machado, to me, different hitter this year. He's really starting to excel, but going all different ways, getting his average up there. I like it. And again, I'm looking at what he's been very, very productive, and his number dropped $500 from the last time. So I'm pouncing again for him on my core. He gives you 10 for 5,000, and DraftKings says, "Oh, you know what? We're gonna drop down to 4,500." So guess what? Tony Jigsaw Cutillo is jumping on that every single day. 2 home runs out of the last 5. I think this is going to be a really good play tonight for Machado being in that core. He did me right last week. I hope he does me right again. So I like Machado in the core. Okay. I like Matt Olson. I mean, listen, I'll bring a guy up just so you can see what I'm looking at. Again, I know 2 zeros out of the last 4. I get it. But I think he's got a really good pitching matchup, right? I do. I know you guys, listen, I know you guys are on Alex Wood, okay? But I think Wood can be hit, man. I think he can be hit. And I think he's given up, look how many home runs he's given up over the past 5. Okay, so I know you guys aren't starting him because of that. I'm just telling you why I'm starting Matt Olson. Okay, so we're going 6 home runs in 5 games. That's what I'm looking at. Okay, that's what I'm looking at in a small park, the right field, in San Francisco. That's what I'm looking at. That Barry Bonds made a living in McCovey Cove, right? So I absolutely love Matt Olson today against Alex Wood as part of my core. So let's see what we got. Look at this. Look at this. Brian says Tatis, Cronin, Hoser, Machado covered for Paddock and Minor yesterday. And you know what? That's a great point. And that's why I love doing this, because that's why I don't do lineups, because I think collaboratively, all of us here can throw our spin on something and add little positive reinforcement to all of our lineups. And it's a great point. So Paddock and Minor don't do what they're supposed to do, but your core picks it up. Maybe your value plays pick it up, but you always got to pick up and you'll still be able to cash. Listen, it's very rare. If you put a line together that basically produces nothing, that means you really need to, you need to take a step back, reevaluate, right? Reevaluate what you're trying to do. So, but again, Tatis, Cronin, Hosmer, Cronenworth, Hosmer, or Hosmer, Hoser, whatever you want to call him, and Machado, I like that. I like that. But for me today, Brian, I'm going a little different. 25-mile-an-hour winds. We're coming in with the wind report. I like it. I like it. We're coming in with the wind report. I'm digging it. Okay, so I'm going Matt Olson, told you why. Going Manny Machado, told you why. Going Xavier Bogaerts. Now, the reason why I'm going Bogaerts is, again, Jordan Montgomery. I'm not sold on Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery can be hit, right? Xavier Bogaerts, under 5,000. I think it's a steal today. I do. I really do. I think he should be well over 5,000, probably the 5,200 range. I know he hasn't been setting the world on fire, but he's still giving you 2 double-digit games over, essentially 3 double-digit games over the past 5. So I really like Bogaerts today against Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery is not a great pitcher. He's very inconsistent all over the place. He's very erratic. He's going to make mistakes. I think today in Boston, in Fenway, Bogaerts to me is going to be the part of my core that I'm not looking for home runs. I'm looking for a 2 for 4 kind of day, maybe a double, couple runs scored, a walk. Give me that 15 kind of, 16-point production. So that's what I'm looking at from my man Xavier Bogaerts. And then, is there anybody hotter right now for the Giants than Mr. Yastrzemski? Honestly, I mean, when you look at him, and again, Frankie Montez has been giving up the long ball as of late. And Mr. Yastrzemski's got 3 home runs in the past 5. And he's got 3 double-digit games over the past 5. And he has no zeros over the past 5. And he's 5,200. So you see where I'm going, people. Okay, you see where I'm going. So I think the lefty up against Montez, again, the same reason why I like the lefty and Olson up against Mr. Wood. I think this is I think both these guys homer today. I really do. And Olson and Yastrzemski, I think they're for me, that positive point production is way. I said it a lot. Positive point production. So I really like this matchup. I really like Yastrzemski, and we'll see what happens. Right? We're still what happens. Low ownership too. Look. See, I love it. Had Tatis in 20 lineups. Damn, bro. 20 lineups, which is really fit. That's a good point, which is really 15 in San Francisco. San Francisco, as long as you hit the right field, obviously, if you're a lefty going right or a righty going left, you're good. It's just, it's a huge part to left center and right center, which you really have to be careful. We're doing late or early set. We're doing both. So, we're going to get out of here in a couple minutes, and I'll throw all the picks up there because we went a little over today, which is fine. A lot to talk about, a lot of different value plays. So speaking of value plays, let's go with the late value. Okay. Laureano for Oakland to me is an absolute steal. Absolute steal. Again, maybe you guys are proving wrong with Alex Wood, but for me, I think he gets hit around today. And for Laureano, who most likely he could lead off today, because Mark Canha, he goes on the IL, so he absolutely could lead off. I'm not sure, but what I like about Laureano is, again, he's again consistent. He's going to give you the hits. That's what he's going to do. 4,400. I think this is a nice Oakland. I think you could stack Laureano and Olsen and even a Tony Kemp and really come out with a nice little triple play stack against my man Alex Wood. I know I'm burying Alex Wood against you guys, but that was why I went into this with the theory that Alex would get hit around. So I like the little triple play with Laureano. I like Kemp and I like Olsen. So I think you can get tremendous value right here from that guy. Now, what I'm also looking at is Will Myers. Now, everybody's jumping on a San Diego wagon with the San Diego stack, and rightfully so, whether it be Machado, whether it be Tatis, right? And I get it. We all know why. But I like to pick out guys that are going to give you value a little bit down the road, right? So I think Cronenworth, I know, what do you call it? Cronenworth, I think, is a huge value. And I know Brian picked him out. He is. For that number right there, Cronenworth for 4,300, I think he's a great play today. I do. I think that's a great find. But if Will Myers plays today, right? If Will Myers plays today, I'm going with Will. And I'm going with Will because he's only 3,400. And I got that Will Myers kind of play. He's really starting to pick it up. 14, 8, 4, 5. He's giving you positive point production. He's been able to do. He's got 3 hits in the last 5. No home runs, but he had a triple 4 days ago. Like Will Myers with a triple? Seriously? But a lot of protection in that lineup. And I really like Will today, from a value perspective. Just from a value perspective. Now, I had him before. They didn't play him. But at the end of the day, Will Myers, if he plays, I think you get the bat on the ball, and I think he can give you some positive point reinforcement. And then the other guy I'm going with is Hunter Renfroe. Okay, listen, Hunter Renfroe, if you look at what he's been able to do, and again, this is the Jordan Montgomery effect, right? This is the Jordan Montgomery effect. So if you go with Hunter Renfroe for the Boston Red Sox, you look what he's done he's been really good. He's got 2 double-digit games in the past 5, multi-hit games as well. Okay, multi-RBI games. He only struck out 3 times in the last 5. So I think it's a really good play for Hunter Renfroe. That's why I like Bogarts. I like Renfroe. I like him at home. 3,500. I think he's another value play that you could put into your lineup. So look at Hunter Renfroe today. I think he can give you that positive point production that we all talk about. So let's end this out with the FFVP. FFVP. Really, we're talking soccer. See, random, but hey, I love it. Denmark, money line, Italy, Austria, over 2.5. Look at Brian. Brian is hardcore. I love it. He's hitting us. We had Sia jumping in with PGA. We got Brian right here jumping in with the money lines for the soccer. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'll give you. Rich says I'm locking in James and that 6-6 2 forward. I love it. Brian also, soccer is a game of emotions. Ride that emotion. Listen, Brian. I coach youth soccer. I love it. Absolutely love it. My kids are now U15 right now, and you're absolutely right, man. I'm emotional as a coach. Obviously, you say the way I talk. I'm also emotional. I was as a player. Obviously, don't have the build for it anymore, but I love watching the kids play. I love it absolutely. And Brian, yes, Crone 10 hit streak 4. Look at this. Look at this, Brian. Can I just say thank you? I love the insertion into the show. This is what I love. I mean, we have You got Mark Drumheller talking money lines. You got me talking about FFVP. You got Brian bringing in the statistics, right? The 10-game hitting streak for Mr. Cronenworth, and he's only 4,300. They dropped him down. They keep dropping him down. What are they looking at, right? What are they looking at? Multi-hit games, which we always look at. 2 in the last 2 games, 6 home runs in that 10 games. 4. I mean, come on, man. Come on. What else do we have to see, right? Depending on the way you formulate that lineup, look at this. The only reason why, Brian, I didn't go with Cronenworth is because he's been so good. Same thing with my theory about Vlad, right? And it's weird. Certain guys, I just think eventually they're going to hit that game where they don't give you, but again, for 40, talking about Vlad's a little different. You're paying $6,200 for Vlad. Right, so when you're paying $6,200, you can't afford a 0. You can't afford a 5. But Cronenworth gives you $4,300. So I think you definitely ride with Cronenworth. Definitely, because even if he gives you a 5 or a 6, it's only $4,300. So your core players should be able to pick that up. So that's a great 5. You know what? I was so looking at Manny Machado, and when I went to the value plays, I must have completely skipped over Cronenworth. So thank you for that, because I think he's going to one of my lines today. For sure. I love it. I love it, Brian. Thank you for that. I love it. Absolutely love it. So let's go with the FFVP. And then we close this out. So we're going to go FFVP late. And we're going to go with my man, Chad Pinder. Again, you see where I'm going. Alex Wood fans, I'm going Oakland. But I love the FFVP of Chad Pinder, $2,600 a day. Again, and you look at, let me bring them up for you guys. Just want to bring them up so you guys know what I'm looking at. So Chad Pinder, again, I don't look at this. I don't look at any of this when I do these picks, right? And I don't look at any of this, really, okay? And sometimes, as long as he has a couple hits in the last few games, but what I'm looking at is Chad Pinder, 4,500, 3,400, 3,300, 3,300, 3,100, 2,600. 2,600 against a guy in Alex Wood that can be hit around. So again, these are boom or bust picks. They're not going to make or break your lineup, but they will be the difference of you finishing 7th or finishing 2nd or 1st. I'm telling you. So Chad Pinder, $2,600 in a really good Oakland sneaky stack kind of lineup. I like him today against Alex Wood, a guy that can be hit around. I really do. That's why I like Olsen. That's why I like Laureano. But I like Chad Pinder. I like Tony Kemp. I like a lot of Oakland Athletics today. I could be dead wrong. Who knows? We're going to find out. So let's recap before we get out of here, okay? Because this one went a little long today, all right, which is all good. All right, so we have early core. We're going Adolis Garcia, Bo Bichette, Shea Ohtani, and Ozzie Albies. I like it. I like it. I like it. Early aces, obviously, Jacob deGrom. And then we're going to go sneaky with JT Brubaker for the K potential against the St. Louis Cardinals. Okay? And then we're going to go early value. I think it's a Joey Gallo day. Then we're going to go Gurriel from the Blue Jays, who I think, again, for that number can really pack a good punch. And we're going to go with the Minnesota Twin connection with Jorge Polanco and Alex Kirilloff. I think that matchup against Cleveland is really, really good when we talk about positive point production. And then the FFP early, we're going to stick to the Minnesota Twins, and we're going to go Trevor Larnach, the prospect coming up, doing good things in the last 3 out of the last 5. For that money, I think he is a hit. So let me get let me get some more. I get it. I do that with Stanton and Judge. They're on a 3-4 game hit streak. I'll ride their hot bat until 2 games to 0. I like it. Absolutely. Caratini is good value. Listen to this. Caratini, I love it. Caratini is a good value to get a piece. And I know Adam checked in earlier about value plays at catcher. And if you look right here, you look how I put in my box already. At 3,200, I have Victor Caratini in there. And again, I think that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. He was already in my queue to talk about. I completely forgot about him. I think he offers exceptional value at the catching position against a really bad team, against a good pitching matchup, and against a lot of line of protection. He's going to come up to the plate with a lot of guys on base and a lot of opportunity to knock in some points. That's why he has 3 RBIs in the past 2 games. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you. I love it. Adam, great show. As always, Adam, checking in. Isaiah, great show. Thanks for checking in, man. As always, best value. Look at this. Brian, best value Casale. Let me see. Who do we have here? You're going best value. I got to look this up, man. Are we talking about late game slate or early game slate? We're talking late game slate. Tell me who we're talking about here, because I don't look at catchers. I'm going to be honest with you. I do not look at catchers at all. I'm like, to me, they're just like such a terrible value position. So maybe you mistyped. So let me know, Brian. Let me know who you're looking at right there for the catching spot. So we got Posey out. Oh, Posey, late game. Oh, for San Francisco, because 2,000. Whoo, man. Hold on. I got to look at this. See, this is why I love this. Kirk Cutillo. Oh, look at that. Look at that. You like him against Frank. Man, you know what? I'm not even looking at Look, Brian, you're gonna have to start doing this show with me, cuz you really are, because you brought. I love this, man. I love, because again, this ain't all about Jigsaw. It's all about the team here. We a big Win Daily Sports family, and you're talking about Kirk Cutillo. I mean, look, how did I miss 33 and 14? I mean, come on, for 2,000. Yo, he's going to already. Brian's giving us some unbelievable value today. Okay, unbelievable value. I love it. Cutillo and Cronin. Cutillo at 2,000. I love it, Brian. I love it. Game winning homer last night too, man. I love it. I love it, man. Look at that. The fire by my guy from Minnesota. Oh, Minnesota. I'm not good with catchers. We got to look that up. Catarina is normally my go-to value. Yeah, he because of that lineup, man. He's great. He's absolutely great. So let's recap again. For our late guys, for everybody, late value, we got Laureano, we got Myers, we got Renfro, we got late value right here. When we talk late aces, I like Evaldi and I like Lamet. I think it's going to be a really, really good game with Lamet. We like the late game core of Matt Olson, Manny Machado, Xavier Bogaerts, and Mr. Yastrzemski, and then our late FFVP and Mr. Chad Pinder. Guys, listen, hour and 15 today. I normally don't go this long, but you guys have been awesome. Unbelievable. You really guys have been. I love doing this every Saturday and Sunday morning. It's one of my favorite things to do. Football season is going to be tremendous too as well. Tomorrow, don't forget, Fantasy Firebox tomorrow, 9:15. We're going to be talking NFL. We'll review some Major League Baseball games, but I don't like to do a ton of baseball on Sunday mornings, only because by the time you watch the video, the thing is kind of like, it could be too late by the time you get there. So I want to do some NFL quarterback talk, some preseason fantasy football talk. I want to get into that as well, because that's coming up. Drafts are lining up. Brian says, this is why I want Tony in Discord. We should get an Eagle show go. Brian, listen. Football is starting. I could give you a little insight. I could tell you right now that the Tony effect, as well as the Win Daily effect, is going to be more prevalent coming up in the next couple of months. So just stay tuned. More shows. I will get on Discord. I promise. I will get on Discord. I think I threw out a Discord today just for this show. That was about it, right? But as always, Brian, thank you so much for checking in. Thank you, everybody, for checking in, man. This has been tremendous. Winston. Oh, you know what? Yeah, okay. Add me on Twitter, eCrazy52. Me too, at Cutillo23 is where you can find me. At Cutillo23 on Twitter. At Win Daily Sports everywhere. Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. This has been so much fun. WinDailySports.com, Discord, everything. Everybody have a glorious day. Let me know what I did wrong. Let me know what I did right. We'll collaborate again. Well, hopefully we all hit. Let's make some money. Let's have a great Saturday in the world of DFS. And everybody stay safe, stay healthy. And we'll catch you tomorrow right here at 9:15.